As we talk to IT professionals today, one of the things they're really struggling with is unstructured data, and particularly how to protect it. The capacity obviously is a challenge, but also the number of files that are contained within these stores can really cause challenges when you go to back that data up. Joining me on the LightBoard to talk about that is Sean Derrington with StorageCraft. Sean, thanks for joining us today.
Great. Thanks, George. Great to be here.
So walk me through what you got here. I guess this is kind of a typical configuration.
Yeah, what we have here is on the left is a typical virtual server environment running a variety of VMs. I simplified it to just have 2 VMs, but you have the typical structured data, SQL, Exchange, etc. But then you also have a VM here with Windows just doing general purpose file serving. Right?
Okay, which is a very common implementation.
It is very common, and when you look at it, this is typically, most of the storage capacity in an organization. It's also the most unwieldy and unpredictable, right? So I'm just going to use round numbers here, 75-25 kind of rule.
Sure.
And so when you're going to protect this information, you typically take a snapshot through VMware. A variety of software packages do that, including us. But what you wind up doing is you wind up protecting 100 terabytes of data from your virtual server environment to some, let's just say a general purpose-built backup appliance or just general backup target, and that's it.
Right.
The difference on the right-hand side here is now looking at things a little bit differently, right?
Yeah, like I'm missing something.
You are. You're missing the 75% of the data here.
Okay.
So you've got SQL Server. You're still going to protect that. Take the snapshots every 15 minutes or an hour. But now the difference here is that with OneXafe, and I'm just going to abbreviate just OX is OneXafe, we've actually moved 75% of our storage capacity out of the virtual server environment and storing that directly in OneXafe.
Okay, so I'm using the storage device that I'm doing my backups on. It's also sort of playing double duty and also being a file server as well.
It is. There's different deployment options, but one of the things with OneXafe that you can do is actually consolidate or converge the data protection for your SQL Server, which is now 25 terabytes of data, and you still have the 75 terabytes of unstructured data stored on OneXafe. And now you've got a solution that can be the target for all of your physical or virtual servers, as well as managing and serving up the files on a regular basis.
All right, so let me throw you a curveball here. I'm a little concerned now, aren't all my eggs in one basket? How am I protecting that 75 terabytes?
Well, you're protecting the 75 terabytes a couple ways. Number one, we optimize the storage, so it's a scale-out solution, right?
Okay.
So you actually just add storage capacity or add nodes to the cluster as this data grows.
Okay,
right?
so I don't have to do forklift upgrades.
No forklift upgrades. It's not a scale up solution. I've got to figure out the small, medium, or large. That goes out the window. You just literally add as you need to over the life, right?
Okay.
Deduplication helps to maximize the data reduction and the storage capacity utilization, compression, but then how you protect this is through our continuous snapshots.
Okay.
So for this data, as customers access it and the users are accessing whatever files are in there, we're taking snapshots. We can take an unlimited number of snapshots every 90 seconds.
Okay.
So now you've got a recovery point instead of every 15 minutes to hour or day, depending upon the policy here.
Right.
You've got 90-second recovery points.
All right, so I've actually improved the data protection process there.
You have.
Okay.
You've dramatically improved the data protection process on premises in one data center, but if you want to go to another one, you can do that as well, and you can remotely replicate all or some of the shares that are protected here in an offsite location.
So what if I don't have a secondary data center?
So for companies, if you don't have a second data center to actually do this, or even if you have a second data center and you want to actually look at more of a full DR as a service where I need compute and storage and networking, you can actually replicate this to StorageCrafts Cloud.
Okay.
Right. And here we have full DR as a service where you can actually orchestrate which VMs, whether it be the structured VMs that you're going to recover to run your business, and you can orchestrate which order they're going to be brought up.
Okay.
Or you can also just replicate to another, I'm just going to put S3 here, it could be Azure, as just a storage target, right?
Okay.
And you can be on your own to bring up those applications as you need to.
So choices there.
So there are different deployment options. You can look at just one location, right? Or you can go offsite for your second data center and or to different cloud providers.
So then, Sean, your object store supports basically SMB and NFS, is that right?
It is. So you have all the benefits of object storage underneath the covers, but you have the simplicity of either SMB and or NFS, and you can have different exports, and there's no limitation on how many, how large the shares can be. You're not worrying about volumes or LUNs anymore. It's just a pool of storage. So now you can just have clients accessing the data directly, which is the larger part of the storage that you're trying to deliver to them.
Okay, and then so does it integrate with Active Directory and all that to pull in usernames and everything?
Yes, so if you're going to use this with SMB, simply add in the Active Directory credentials. We honor all of those. We actually don't do any of that authentication for that. That all goes against the domain controllers that the customers are controlling. So they can manage permissions, groups, they can recover from the snapshots and actually just have their users right mouse, Windows previous version, and easily get back any file they need.
Okay, and then obviously one other situation that we might want to address is so that might not be a Windows file server, it might be like a NetApp box, for example, or maybe even an Isilon box. Is there anything I'm giving up to go from, kind of a name like NetApp to using you guys?
Not when you look at the converged solution, because we're continuing to do the data protection for all of the VMs and the physical servers, right? So you define policies and SLAs that you want to take a snap every 15 minutes or hour of these VMs, but you're also protecting it this way as well. From a performance standpoint, Isilon's obviously been around a long time. They're very high performing file serving. With OneSafe, you have the option to decide if you want to have more of a capacity-based cluster, and then that's obviously hard drive based, but OneSafe is also, you have the option for an all flash array. So if you need high performance file serving or high speed backup and high speed recovery for these applications, you can certainly do an all flash cluster as well.
So Sean, I think we've kind of really nailed the single data center use case, but what if, and of course an increasing number of organizations today have this, what if you have multiple data centers? How do I manage this across more than a few data centers?
Yeah, so there's two things to think about here. Number one, I'm going to draw this kind of down below, but one system is how we manage all of the OneSafe. And actually when I say we, I mean the customers have the opportunity to do this. This is actually a cloud-based management service, so they can manage multiple clusters, and some customers may have multiple needs of, I was mentioning the all flash or hard drive based. So if they have multiple clusters in one data center, they can manage it all through one system.
Well, Sean, thanks for joining us on the LightBoard today.
Yeah, thanks.
So there you have it. If you're looking to make sure that you're not only protecting application data, but also the growing concerns of unstructured data, this is a really good solution, and it actually really simplifies your life because there's one less component to manage. You have 75% less data to transfer, so certainly worth taking a look at. I'm George Crump, lead analyst with Storage Switzerland. Have a good day.